What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel, where in today's video we will be delving into the character of Ezra Bridger in order to explain his significance in the Star Wars universe during the events of the Skywalker saga, and to help those who may be unfamiliar with this character to get caught up to speed before he makes his live action debut, or even after if you happen to watch this video sometime down the road. And just to clarify before we get into things, Ezra has not been officially confirmed to be appearing in a live action project yet, but there is heavy speculation that he will do so, most likely in the Ahsoka series. But with that being said, let's get into this. So, who is Ezra Bridger? Ezra was a Jedi padawan in the time between Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith and Episode 4 A New Hope. And he is nearly the exact same age as Luke and Leia, having been born just a day or two before them. At 7 years old, Ezra was separated from his parents, who were arrested and imprisoned for speaking out against the Empire's presence on their home planet of Lothal. Ezra's parents didn't actually die until many years later, but he does not find out that they were alive until after their actual death, so he never sees them again. At 14 years old, Ezra is discovered by the Ghost crew of the Rebel Alliance, and eventually, after some hesitation and reluctancy, he is taken under the wing of Kanan Jarrus. Now, we'll get into Kanan in another video, but what you need to know about him for now is that he was a Jedi who survived Order 66, and at this point, he would begin to train Ezra Bridger in the ways of the Force. For most of his life to this point, Ezra's connection with the Force was not something he was aware of. It aided him in his survival on Lothal as a little boy, but it was not something he or anyone else was consciously aware of. But as Ezra begins his training, his power develops very quickly. Like many Jedi Padawans, particularly those who begin their training at a later age like Ezra did, he is easily tempted by the dark side. He does not fear it in the way that his master does, and that can get him into trouble, but it can also serve him well in some cases, as his bold confidence and lack of hesitation adds a unique wrinkle to the Ghost crew. Kanan and Ezra balance each other out in this way, as Kanan tends to be far more conservative and hesitant, which is due at least in part to the trauma of Order 66. The trouble for Kanan really lies in controlling the over-eager, worry-free personality of his apprentice and preventing Ezra from straying too far toward the dark side. And this task is made far more difficult when Ezra encounters the former Sith Lord, Darth Maul, who is fixated on taking Ezra as his own apprentice. Now, the dynamic between Ezra and Maul becomes a very interesting one as time goes on. This isn't just a one-time encounter. Maul tracks Ezra down multiple times, presenting himself much differently than what we see in Maul's earlier life. He is still stuck in his old ways, and he is still not a good guy by any means. It's more of a case of him just putting on a front than it is about Maul actually being a changed man or something like that. He is very manipulative, and he's starving for revenge over those who wronged him in his past life as a Sith. But he is no longer a mindless servant of Darth Sidious. He has his own agenda, and so he's willing to work alongside anyone, good or bad, to fulfill his goals and ultimately to gain more power. Now, in the end, Maul fails to turn Ezra to the dark side, but he does succeed in gaining Ezra's help to open a holocron, which reveals the location of his #1 target, the man who robbed him of his place at Palpatine's side, Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi. Ezra also develops an interesting relationship with Ahsoka Tano, who mentors both him and Kanan for a short time before she forces them to leave her behind as she engages Darth Vader in a duel on the Sith Temple of Malachor. Later in the story, Kanan Jarrus sacrifices himself to save the Ghost crew, and through a series of events which we are not going to be delving into in this video, Ezra encounters Ahsoka once again in a mysterious realm known as the World Between Worlds, and that is the last they ever see of each other in Star Wars Rebels. Ezra develops strong relationships with the rest of the Ghost crew, including Hera Syndulla, who is the crew's leader, his good pal Zeb, the crew's droid Chopper, and the Mandalorian Sabine Wren, who toward the end of the Star Wars Rebels show emerges as a key player in Ezra's potential story after the events of this series. In the series finale, Ezra sacrifices himself to free Lothal from the Empire and to ensure that the sinister Grand Admiral Thrawn, who emerges as the Ghost crew's greatest enemy throughout the series, does not escape. In the end, Ezra is never seen again, as he and Thrawn are dragged into hyperspace by a group of whale-like species called Purrgil, who were able to live in space and travel at light speed. But Ezra leaves Sabine with a message in which he reminds her that he is counting on her. For what exactly, nobody knows, but the series concludes with Sabine meeting up with Ahsoka Tano once more, as she proclaims that Ezra is out there and she is going to bring him home. And that's the last time we see Ezra, Sabine, or any other member of the Ghost crew. Ahsoka, who is not a member of this crew, is of course seen in The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett, and in her live-action debut when she duels the Magistrate in The Mandalorian, Ahsoka demands to know the whereabouts of Grand Admiral Thrawn, which tells us that during the time period of The Mandalorian, Ahsoka is yet to find Ezra or Thrawn. So the premise of the upcoming Ahsoka series is likely going to be centered, at least in part, around Ahsoka and Sabine's hunt for Ezra and Thrawn. But that is a pretty quick rundown of who Ezra Bridger is and how he ties into the Skywalker saga. At the end of the day, I can't tell you every single thing that happens, and even if I did, nothing I said would do the actual depiction of Ezra's life justice. So if you're interested and you have the time, I would definitely highly recommend that you take the time to watch Star Wars Rebels. It's a really awesome story, and it ties in very heavily with some major Star Wars characters like Ahsoka, Maul, Darth Vader, and Emperor Palpatine, and also gives some insight into the Inquisitors and other characters who are beginning to make their transition to live action, so I definitely think it is worth the watch. But that is going to wrap things up for me, so let me know what you guys thought about this video in the comments section below, and if you'd like to see more videos like this. If you did enjoy today's content, remember to drop a thumbs up to support the channel, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and of course, may the Force be with you always.